The end of the Bulls' Big Three era looks to be coming to an end, with Zach LaVine and the Bulls making it both known that they are open to the idea of a trade, splitting up the Bulls' Big Three. The time of the Bulls era looks to come to an end as the Bulls look to switch to a rebuild. As always, my videos are kind of free flowing. I write things down in the notes, but mostly just going off the dome. Basically, today I'm just going to be talking about where, you know, where I can see Zach LaVine and the Bulls and the Bulls' big three players um, just getting traded to, and what the Bulls' future can semi-expect to look like at least, and what things look like going forward for them. So first things first, we're gonna of course start with Zach LaVine because he's obviously the main attraction here. What? Arguably the main attraction here. Um, I kind of split the Zach LaVine teams that would look to target Zach LaVine into two tiers. And the two tiers are just who I think is more likely to trade for, or yeah, most likely, most rumored, etc., to trade for Zach LaVine, and the other is um, teams that I don't see it as likely to happen, but I think it could be an interesting fit, essentially. So to start things off, the first two teams, and I think these are the most rumored teams as of right now. At least their team and the Lakers are always going to be in talks anytime any star is available, really, because they have Mr. Le GM. And the other team I put down is Philly. Um, Obviously, Philly made the James Harden trade, and they picked up three salary filler contracts exactly for a trade like this. And a lot of people with um, the leap Tyrese Maxey has made, a lot of people are super high on Philly this year, and I think adding a Zach LaVine caliber player obviously is only going to increase that. Um, Contractually, it they can make it work. It just depends how high the Bulls value Zach LaVine, and I don't think it's like a crazy amount. Not some Toronto Raptors OG Anunoby type of value, but I just don't know if Philly has the pieces to get it done. I don't know. I assume. I know that Philly has their pick unprotected this year, but I don't know if they're eligible to trade that, which is a problem. And I assume they have their 2029 pick. I'm not. I'm just. I don't have this information off the top, but I assume they would either have 29 or 2030, which would be available to trade. And if you're I think the thing with Tyrese Maxey's ascension is that I think you've given Joel Embiid the satisfaction he needs to not request a trade in in the next coming seasons. The only thing is if you because I think like I mentioned with that I think Tyrese Maxey's ascension has also given you time that you don't necessarily need to jump right onto that, if you know what I mean. Like I think they can wait till free agency. OG Anunoby's gonna hit free agency. Maybe that's someone they want to look for. Um, but if they contractually, I don't think you need to trade all three of the pieces that you got from the James Harden trade because realistically, I think you'd still want one of them for the bench. Whether that's Marcus Morris would need to be in the trade, but I think you can get away with Robert Covington or um, Nicholas Batum as well as I think you'd need one more salary filler in there, but someone like Daniel House makes um, like 5 to 6 mil, which I think would even it out enough to the point where, um, with minimum contracts from the Bulls, that they could even out the salary. Yeah, The next team I put obviously is the Lakers. The Lakers have, I think they just have 29, either 29 or 27 in terms of picks. So again, it more so depends on Zach Levine's value. I doubt the Lakers would want to get. Maybe they give up Hood Schifino. Um, and if you're doing that, I think you could. There's traction there. With your whichever one of the picks, the two picks the Lakers have, whether that's 27 or 29. If you throw in Hood Schifino, I think you have traction for a trade that the Bulls would be willing to accept. Um, with that being said, you also have to throw in. I don't know. I'm gonna pull this up actually. Um, I assume D'Angelo Russell would be the main returning piece from the Bulls. uh, Apart from if you're able to get Jalen Hood Schifino, and he makes, yeah, contractually you're still going to need um, more pieces, but I think D'Angelo Russell would be one of the main pieces. I think Gabe Vincent got a decent contract. Let me just pull up the Lakers salary cap table. That would make this a lot easier. Salary cap breakdown. Why salary cap table? Thank you. So difficult. Yeah. So D'Lo obviously makes the most out of their rotation guys. Um, Rui Hachimura. I don't know. He makes 15. D'Lo makes 17. So that's most of the contract made up. I don't know how much you realistically need, or how much exactly you need. Um, but yeah, Hood Schifino, D'Lo, and Rui Hachimura could probably get it done. Gabe Vincent makes about 10. Austin Reeves makes 12. I don't think, even though he's been underperforming, I don't think you'd be willing to give up Austin Reeves. And then yeah, most of the other contracts are just smaller. So um, I don't think, yeah, they're not really gonna change tides a whole lot. But I think the main piece obviously has to be D'Angelo Russell, just contractually, and then I think you could make it work with either one of Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, who's been underperforming as well, and if the Lakers are willing to give up Hood Schifino, which I don't see, like it's a LeBron-led team, you're gonna want to buy in as much as you can. I don't see why they wouldn't be willing to give up Hood Schifino, but you never know. So those are like the two top tier teams, I'd say. Same thing kind of goes for, like I said, with the Lakers. They're always going to be in talks. The Heat. Um, I don't know how realistic the Heat is because they've had lots of opportunities to pick up higher level All Star quality players, and they haven't. They haven't really budged, and it's almost like Pat Riley's not, I guess, stubborn. Yeah, he likes his assets and he values them highly. Um, and it's almost like he's not going to budge on some specific trades. And if he didn't really budge on a Damian Lillard trade, as well as of course Bradley Beal was also rumored to them, if he didn't budge on either of those, I find it hard to believe that Zach LaVine is going to be the the determining factor here, as well as just the fact that the Heat have been playing really good right now. They've been playing good basketball. They started the season off a little rocky, but I think I checked it earlier. I think it was a 7-game win streak that they're on. So they're playing really good as of right now. Not a whole lot else to say here. Um, they do have contracts to even it out, but again, um, very limited picks wise. So um, just depends where Zach Levine's value truly lies. The next one I put is the Kings, and this one I really like because just adding more scoring ability to that Kings roster. Of course, the defense is going to struggle, but I don't think there's exactly an additional defensive piece that you're going to be able to get if you're the Kings. So if you have the ability to buy on Zach LaVine, it might not be a bad idea. De'Aaron Fox and Zach LaVine does seem like a really good scoring backcourt. Of course, you have Sabonis. My TV just turned off. Of course, you have Sabonis, who's a very good hub, and he'll be able to generate open looks for both of them. De'Aaron Fox will be able to generate open looks. The only problem is you'd have to give up Harrison Barnes, who he's been solid, but that is a starter, and the other piece you'd very likely need to give up in this trade is Kevin Herter. And losing two starters, even though they've both been not as good as they were last year, I still think it affects your team overall. Of course, they have pieces that could step in, like Malik Monk has always been very solid for them off the bench, six man of the year type candidate. So you can expect him to perform, but it's always a concern. But I do like the fit there. The last team I have in this tier is the Magic, and this is the tier that I'm going over more in depth, of course, because it's the tier one, the more important one. But the Magic, they very much lack scoring and offensive abilities and have court creation. And Zach LaVine, what do you know? He does that. Um, I could imagine Fultz would need to be in the trade. If you're the Bulls, I don't think, and I really like Fultz, but if you're the Bulls, I don't think Fultz is what the piece that you're looking for in this trade. Because obviously with the Magic, they have a lot of young players, and with that, a lot of young players who don't have a whole lot of opportunity because they have a lot of players. Like Cole Anthony's been playing really well. Again, Fultz was really good for them last year. I really like what Fultz does, but he is a liability, not a liability, but he's not, you know, exactly what you'd want surrounding Paolo Banchero perimeter game wise. Um, I'll go more into what you receive later, because I have that written down. But yeah, I think the Magic fit wise would be nice, but not exactly the top of the tier in what I think is most likely, in my opinion. Moving on to the secondary teams, I'm gonna go through these ones a little quicker. The top two I have are Cleveland and Atlanta, and I think the I'll go over Atlanta first. I think it's less. Well, I don't think either of them are very likely, but I think if you're, looking to split off from Trey or DeJounte, I think I could see why. Um, you'd buy into that. You get some scoring out of Zach LaVine. Obviously, if you are trading Trey Young specifically, even though Zach LaVine isn't a great defender in himself, arguably anything is better than Trey Young. So that's always a thing there. Cleveland, they're they made moves this offseason to get better offensively and with spacing the floor, and currently they look worse. I don't expect that to exactly stay, but it is a concern. Um, and I think with Cleveland, there's like a couple of options that you have, whether that's splitting up Jared Allen, keeping the big four together, as well as adding Zach LaVine, because I believe contractually they could do that. I don't know what Cleveland's pick situation looks like. I guess they traded a lot for Donovan Mitchell, so probably not a whole lot. But they do have some young assets, whether they're completely valuable, I don't know. But again, just another option to throw out there. The Hornets would be interesting just because get a young co-star, all-star talent next to LaMelo Ball could really open up the game for him. Um, and as the not the Bulls, the Hornets continue to build their young core, adding a vet like Zach LaVine could be really good for them. I put down the Knicks. What the heck? I'm gonna mute my other computer because I can hear it going crazy right now. I put down the Knicks. The only thing is I don't really know what you're looking what you're looking to do with the Knicks, or what the Knicks would be looking to do here. Because obviously Julius Randle has been terrible this season. If you're the Bulls, I don't even think you'd look in that direction when making a trade. I don't think New York would throw RJ into this, and um, I don't know if Josh Hart, Emmanuel Quickly, and Evan Fournier plus a pick gets that done for you. You know, depends what the Knicks are willing to throw in, but I don't see it. Like if the Bulls are able to get assets, good for them. But I don't think the Knicks. I don't think trading Zach LaVine for what you have necessarily will elevate you to a place where you weren't already. Like it's hard to say, the Knicks trade Zach LaVine All right, trade for Zach LaVine. They give up Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, whatever. You're losing valuable pieces to your bench, one. And two, you still have to get to even the conference finals, which is difficult going up against Philly, Boston, Milwaukee if they get it together, Miami. Like, that's the big four in the East. And I don't know, you know, how likely it is you do that. Brooklyn, they've been in talks just because they have a lot of pieces, but I don't. Brooklyn, yeah, like Brooklyn could go in a way where they're looking to quote unquote compete, or they could look to rebuild. Personally, I think I'd start to look in the rebuild direction, whether that's giving up Claxton and Levine, not Levine, Claxton and Bridges, but I don't think they're going to do that. And if they do, I don't think they're going to do it yet. That's my only thing there. Indiana, kind of the same thing with the Hornets. The but just more accelerated. Indiana's playing really good right now. Maybe you don't want to break that up. Maybe you do. They play super quick, get up a lot of shots, efficient offense, and I think Zach. Of course, the defense sucks, but if you're just looking to outscore the hell out of people, having Zach LaVine will make that easier. Um, Obviously, coming off injuries, I don't think Zach LaVine is as explosive as he once was, but I mean, Tyrese Halliburton at the helm, I think that's still okay. I put the Pelicans. This one is probably, I'd say, the least likely out of the ones I have, but they have tradable pieces, but again, I don't really see them actually pulling anything off. Toronto, if they're looking to buy into Scotty Barnes as the hub, but I think realistically Toronto probably wants to bottom out, whether they do or not, because no one really knows with Masai. Um, but yeah, I think he would be going to Toronto would be an option, but I personally wouldn't. Uh, I don't think it's likely. And lastly, the Thunder. My thing with the Thunder is it's kind of the same thing. I forget who I mentioned it with. With the Heat is that you have all these picks. I think you'd rather hold your assets for someone better than Zach LaVine's caliber. And I think they're playing good right now, so I think there's no reason to pull the trigger just yet, anyways. So yeah, that's all I have for Zach LaVine. I say all, like it wasn't like 10, 15 teams, but yeah. Next, DeRozan. There's obviously not nearly as many places that I could see him going because he's expiring. Um, Not an amazing floor spacer, obviously in terms of his three-point shooting ability, but I still think there's places that would be looking for him. I put Philly for this kind of the same reasons that I put Zach LaVine down. Um, just another scorer, and if they're looking to buy in and compete for Embiid this year, if they can't get Zach LaVine, I could see them looking in that direction. Um, Lakers, kind of the same thing that I just said with DeRozan. The only thing is the fit would be interesting next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, because traditionally, and what works is putting floor spacers around LeBron and DeRozan. While he's a fantastic mid-range scorer, he's obviously not a good three-point shooter. And then the one that I think is most likely out of the three, um, not most likely, but I would personally like it the most, I guess, is Dallas. It's been rumored before, and next to Luka and Kyrie just adds another scorer. They have good floor spacing already around Luka. Obviously, DeRozan will tank that a little bit, but he's still a good enough shot creator where I think you won't suffer from it. Um, and yeah, next to Luka, he'll just be a fantastic scorer, another option. Dallas is always looking to put up points, and I think Jason Kidd is more accepting of that now, like rather than last year with um, Christian Wood. He just barely touched the floor and didn't get enough opportunity. But obviously, with DeRozan, you're not going to do that. One, and two, I think it's just a better fit. And now that Lively's ascended and he's actually getting consistent playing time now, I think it'll be okay. I put Vucevic. I don't. I literally don't know. Like, I think if you can get anything of value from Vucevic, do it. But I really don't see anyone looking to buy in on Nikola Vucevic. He's good at what he does, but what he does doesn't exactly, help you in any way. Um, so yeah, if you can get anything for Vucevic, do it. But it's unlikely, I'd say, that he gets moved at least this season. Maybe the off season, maybe the next off season, maybe just as an expiring contract in the future. But I think it's unlikely. Caruso, I think this is what I was talking about when I'd say, Levine's obviously the star attraction, but I think Caruso's where your bang for your buck is. I think if you can get a pick for Caruso, you're golden. And I think the market is open to any team that's looking to contend and compete and looking to buy in. The Lakers obviously have been heavily rumored. Um, while they have a deep bench and good players, I put the Celtics. I don't think it's as likely, but if they're willing to give up first, a couple seconds, maybe two, I could see it. Um, the Heat, I feel like he just fits that culture, and they need a. Kyle Lowry's been okay, but he's old, um, so I think they could use another guard. Denver, I know Reggie Jackson and a pick has been a rumored trade package. I don't know if I see it as likely, but I think it would be with the loss of Bruce Brown. I think it would be a good pickup for them. I said Philly. Did I say Philly? I don't know. Maybe not. Same thing. If Philly's willing to throw a pick, jump. The Bulls could jump on that. Really, um, whichever team is willing to throw a pick, maybe even two picks, a pick in seconds. Again, I can see it happening. I put the Pels down, but David Griffin doesn't make any moves, and I think it's unlikely either way. And they're not exactly looking to jump into contention. Patrick Williams, while he's still young, he does want his big extension. But the good news is I think you can wait on that now. I don't see him getting moved this season, nor in the off season, unless he just um, you know continues to look mid. You could just see the Bulls eventually moving on from him. But I don't see that happening yet. Either way, I think he's there to stay for at least this season. Um, but yeah, Patrick Williams obviously hasn't looked great, so I don't see any reason to sell low anyways. I also threw down Lonzo, just in case any team is looking to, you know, get off some money. Um, if I think he can be traded, even though he's injured, I don't know exactly how that works. But if you're willing to, because he's obviously a free agent this offseason, if you need to get off some money, I could see a team looking to buy in on that and maybe give up, a couple seconds, maybe first if the Bulls are lucky for that to get off money. But yeah, that's all I have in terms of players the Bulls could trade because those are the only real valuable S-ish pieces. They don't have a whole lot of valuable pieces, to be honest. But now I'm just gonna go over some players. Um, I think realistically, I think you're more likely for everyone um, of the Bulls, big three plus Caruso. I think you're most likely to get picks and maybe some young player who hasn't shown a lot, but young players obviously always have some promise. But in the case where you are able to land some players, these are the ones that I put down. Again, I said Trae Young / DeJounte Murray if they're willing to split that up. If they did try to go after LaVine, I could see them definitely looking to stick with both of them and have LaVine at the three. Whether that's good or not, probably not. It's a whole lot of offense, but it's eh. But again, who knows really? I also put Jalen Johnson. If you're the Hawks, though, Jalen Johnson has been fantastic this season. I don't really think you'd want to give up Jalen Johnson um, at the moment. I put Jared Allen. If the Cavs are willing to split up that um, big four for LaVine for the offensive purposes, finally get to run Mobley at the five, which I think he will eventually have to. If he doesn't progress offensively, just do that earlier. Buy in earlier is an option. Of course, if they're not looking to break up the big four, um, Isaac Okoro, he's obviously doesn't have very much value at all at the moment, but who knows? He is a piece, and if he gets his first out of it, you know. Tyler Hero. Again, Pat Riley, I don't really see him buying in on Zach LaVine and trading his assets, but you never know. Um, this one I think is the most likely if you were to get players. It's any one of the Magic's young guards because they have so many of them. I think the least likely would be Suggs, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea because I think the Magic like what Suggs does, but I don't think Suggs would really thrive on a team with nothing. Um, this if I was the Bulls, this is the one I would be most interested. Anthony Black obviously shows tremendous upside as a defender, good playmaking ability. If the offense can catch up to his defense, he will be a very scary player. And then Jed Howard he hasn't gotten a whole lot of burn, but he's still a young player. Shows good floor spacing abilities, um, good length and size to be and athleticism to be a decent defender. So not a bad option either. I put Jalen Williams. I think this one's super unrealistic. I don't think the Thunder would look to, um, you know, trade him just because he's been so good for them. Cam Thomas, another one that I don't think is super realistic just because he's been going crazy for the Nets. If you're the Bulls, maybe you buy into that that's who he really is. I don't know, maybe. But I also don't know if the Nets would be willing to move off of him either way. Another one for the Hawks I put down is Onyeka Okongwu. Um, finally letting him spread his wings. He's always been behind Clint Capella, and with good reason, because Clint Capella's been really good, but Onyeka is also really good, and I think he's arguably deserving of a starting center position, even though he is a little undersized, which is slightly concerning, but I think at the end of the day it's okay. Um, Next two are the Hornets forwards. I put PJ Washington slash the man whose name shall not be said. I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about, but if not, you're living under a rock. PJ Washington has been having a very under the radar, underrated season this year, and I think he's been really good for the Hornets. And I've always been someone who's been not super high on PJ Washington, but he has looked very good for them this year. Not in any type of most improved conversations, but just efficient. Um, Gets it done. Good size, decent athleticism to be an okay defender. Just a solid piece for their young core. The last two people I have down are, I guess I have one more after this, but that one's a little different. Just Trey Murphy and Dyson Daniels. Again, I don't think any, um, I don't think there's any realistic way to get them. Just contractually, the Pelicans, most of their money goes to the big three, plus Larry Nance Jr. and Jonas Valanciunas. Both Trey Murphy and Dyson make like less than 10 mil together, so it'd be very hard to make that work out without giving up like CJ McCollum, which I don't think you're wanting to do. And then the last one I have is Anthony Simons. Um, Obviously, this would be done in a three-team trade because Portland trades for Zach LaVine. What are you doing? Even though the fit would be decent in the future, Shaden Sharp is looking great, so obviously they're not going to do that. But if you're looking to trade Simons, because once he gets back, he's obviously going to take time away from Scoot. If I don't know the extent of Scoot's injury, but he's missed a decent amount of time already. So if you're looking to give the keys to Scoot, I could see Portland looking to get in on a three-team trade and give up Simons. And if you're the Bulls, I really like Anthony Simons. Showed great scoring ability, and I think at this point in his career, he is an underrated playmaker. Just because he's so offensive heavy, but he just doesn't really have to do that. He's been next to Dame his whole career, and now Scoot. The only thing he really seems to be good at the moment is playmaking. So, but we'll have to see. Once Simons gets back from his injury. But yeah, that's all I really have for today. Um, Again, I think realistically, which sucks for the Bulls, but I mean, that's what you get for building such a mid big three. I think realistically, you're mostly just looking at picks, getting picks back for your guys, as well as maybe some young, unproven talent, which isn't always a bad thing because you never know when someone might spark and be really good for you. But yeah, I think it'll be fun to see the Bulls fire sale. What we're hoping for at the deadline, if it's not already done by then, will be super fun to see. But yeah, that's all I really have for today. So if you did enjoy this video, if you agree with anything I said, or if you want your favorite team to trade for Zach LaVine, give me a comment down below, give me a like, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you all have a good day. Take care, and goodbye.